introductions, just for the viewers out there, not for us. So, anyway, and here we are. We are live. So, good afternoon, world. Good afternoon, viewers. This is the Bantu TV podcast, and welcome, everybody. My name is Kalinda Shachinda. I'm the host. Yeah, it's what's the date today? June the 8th, if I'm not, is that June 8th? I think it's June 8th. Okay, and we're here to talk about typically on a Sunday we review the happening news from the back home, but today we're going to dedicate this broadcast to dedicate the life of the late um, Dr. Edgar Chagolungu, who passed away on Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Is Zambia's former president, as we all know. And he leaves behind a legacy that we are going to dissect on this podcast. And maybe before we even go any further with that, how about I bring in the panelist and the host of hosts that we have here. Shall we start with the man that brings the calmness on this show himself? We call him the deep thinker. Deep thinker, can you go ahead with your vavuzelas, or as we say over here, but introduction for our viewers? Go ahead.
This is Valentine. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Midwest.
Great, and then we will have the man who is in the birth of Shakespeare, and then we go to my brother the Doc, and then handsome Lozy husband in Puerto Rico, and then of course we will wind up with my sister out there in Dallas. In that order, please.
Yeah, I'm Himwami Macha, currently living in England, in a town called Stratford-upon-Avon, near to a big town called Birmingham. But as it is, Stratford is a tourist town. It's a good place. I'm happy to be here, and I welcome everyone who is going to contribute and whoever is watching. I submit.
Perfect. Doctor, my brother here.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Chikonka. I'm in Indianapolis with Wakachinda, and I'm a regular panelist here. But sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm not here. Like today, I'm looking forward to listening to much of it, and because I have to go out at 3 o'clock somewhere about, but I'll be in and out. I'm happy to be here to hear about Mr. Lungu's demise and whatever the PF and the Tonse people are all about going forward.
Brilliant. Thank you, Doc. We know you have to save lives, so we appreciate that. How about we head on to my Lozy husband in Puerto Rico?
Yes. Thank you very much. My name is Danny. This one is, so I'm currently here in Puerto Rico on duty, going back to Canada tomorrow. So I'm based in Ontario, a city called Milton. Thank you.
Oh, great. And my sister in Dallas, I think. I could be wrong. Go ahead, sister.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joyce Jibwe. I'm based here in Dallas, Texas. And today is a special day, for us Zambians, not only in Dallas, Texas or diaspora, but, as Zambians, we are mourning. So I'm happy to be in this meeting this afternoon. Thank you.
Oh, great. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the show. So let me lay down the preamble here. Okay, of course.
Point of order. Can I interject? Can I interject, Chair?
Mr. Mwami.
Yeah,
Go
it's very
ahead.
important. It's very important.
Go ahead, Mr. Mwami.
How about we go for a minute of silence to respect?
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Oh, look now, look now.
Look now, you just
Look
took the
now.
words out of my mouth. Okay, anyway,
We're thinking alike.
we're not going to observe a minute. We're going to do 2 minutes of silence in honor of our
Okay.
departed former president, and
Okay.
then I will lay down the preamble of the discussion today. How
Starting
about
now.
starting now? Let's go. All right, that's 2 minutes is up. Shall we now start? Okay, so we're starting with the preamble. Uh, I guess I don't know how people receive this news. I got a call at 6 o'clock that 6 o'clock my time, which was about probably 12 o'clock Zambian time. I got this text from my peeps, that the former president was normal. I didn't believe it. I made my phone calls, and by the time I got to the fifth person, I had come to a realization that indeed the sixth president had taken his last breath that Thursday. And so a lot of things went through my mind, his presidency, how he rose to power, and all that. And then, you go through the emotions. You start reaching out, and more texts, more phone calls kept coming. So everybody, for me, I was disturbed on that Thursday. So Mr. Lungo was president of the Republic from, shall we say, 2015 to when he lost power in 2021. He had 7 years there, a good run. And, after 2021, he announced his retirement. He's a former lawyer, educated from the University of Zambia. And, he rose through the ranks. He was once UPND before he moved, he switched, allegiance to the PF. Under Michael Sata, he served as in various portfolios in the country. And 2021, he lost power to the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, by 1 million votes. We thought we had seen the last of him, a good maybe 5-6 months. He came back. And, yeah, he's been trying to wrestle power from the current government. As we all know, we had that landslide court ruling by this constitutional court back in December that barred him from running for the government ever. And then of course he's been, I mean, let's put it out there. He's been ailing for quite some time, and I mean, I don't know if anybody has been living in Iraq. I mean, anybody remember those fainting episodes that he had while he was running? Yeah, I mean, while he was president, and 2 years ago, he was supposed to go to some conference in South Korea, which the PF dubbed he was going for medical treatment, but it wasn't. Now that's another angle that. So anyway, that's all. That's a lot of information that I've just spewed just now. So I'm going to cut this urology for just a minute. Let me bring in people to just remember. What do you remember about the former president before we actually really talk about his legacy? So let me start with the deep think. I'll start with you. What do you remember about the sixth Republican president?
I've lived out of the country for a very, very long time, and my point of reference is always going to point in the direction of what I've read, what I've heard, what I was told. I don't have firsthand experience of Dr. Lungu's rule, or even as a person himself. I don't know, is he skewed? So I really wouldn't speak on that.
Great. We move on. Dr. Danny. This one is so.
All right.
What comes to your mind?
All right. To
with the
me,
name Edgar Chagwa.
you're not very, because there are two avenues or two spheres that I remember, but I'm just going to concentrate on the good part that I remember. We all have flaws in life, so I'll ignore the flaws, but just go for the good aspects of our former president. So to me, what I remember about him, he's a people's person. He was a people's person. He would mingle with anybody, anywhere, anytime. So he was really a people's person. He could go in Kalingalinga, he could go in Soweto Market and dance with them. And, if a new song comes out, and, he will know it before even some of us know it, So he was really a grassroots man. He really, really mixed with people at the lowest level of society. That's one thing I remember about him. I will always remember about him. He's similar to Sata, but similar to Sata's characteristics of being able to go to the market and eat shima with the marketeers and do that. That was Lungu. And for him, even when he became a president, he still stuck to his roots. He still had a house in Chawama. He used to go to Chawama. That's something that I will always remember him. He didn't want to leave Chawama. That's where he started from, and that's where up to now, that's where his house is. So it's very, very humbling to see somebody like that, because some of us, some people, when they rise above certain levels, they tend to migrate from their roots. But Lungu didn't do that. Lungu stayed in Chawama. He started his life in Chawama, and up to the point of his death, he still lived in Chawama, which is something incredible. Thank you.
Great. Madam Shibwe. The name Edgar Chagwa, what comes to Edgar Chagwa Lungu? What comes to what do you remember about him?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. like the previous speakers spoke, I've lived outside the country that long. I can remember the only presidents that I know so well is President Kaunda. I lived throughout the 27 years of his rule. Then came President Chiluba. I lived through his presidency just for maybe a year. That's how long I've been away from home. But I occasionally go home almost every year. And I follow what is going on because of being a Zambian, always a Zambian.
Right.
So what I remember about our 60th, president is that the minute I went home, I was told that things have changed here. There are a lot of malls around the cities. I didn't go to the Copper Belt, but around Lusaka, yes, I was lost. I said, oh my goodness, all these malls. They said, yeah, the president is in the business of, investment. So I said, are all these malls owned by Zambians? They said, no, they are owned by investors, people from outside. So I remember about that. And, the other thing I remember about him is that people were saying, in Africa or Zambia, we tend to just talk about the good things about someone when they are dead, and we don't talk about the bad things. I've learned being in diaspora, that's the character of every one of us. We have the bad side and the good side, the weaker side and the stronger side. So each time I went home, they were saying, don't put on something red, whether you don't belong to UPN or not. They will just ransack you. There are the youths there. We have cadres that don't respect anyone, because of this rule. And I've seen family members, even friends from diaspora who went to Soweto market and beaten up, even undressed. And they said that's what is happening. So they took advantage of President Lungu's humbleness. That's my thought, that we even had people under his rule that were unruly under his presidency. So I remember that. Other than that, in 2021, I was blessed enough to go for the inauguration of the current president, and I saw President Lungu, and I said, oh my goodness, after losing to the incumbent with 1 million votes and surrounded with people that, would maybe tell him not to go and hand over power, like he was saying, that I'll hand power to myself. He was humble enough to be in that stadium and handed over the instruments of power. I remember that. So for now, that's all I can talk about our former late president. Thank you.
Great. Lovely remembrance words there. Mr. Maj, same question.
I can only be, I don't want to be economical with the truth. The truth has so much value.
Can you speak up, please? We can't get you, please.
I don't want to be economical with the truth because it has so much value. You can get me now?
I can hear.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, for Lungu, I would say he epitomized cadarism in a negative sense. It made people lose the patriotism that they were supposed to have to the country. They owed it to one man. And in particular, if you're not PF, you are not functional. You are not good enough. You are a useful idiot, for lack of a better word. if you're not PF. Because to just wear a red thing, you're beaten up. Come on. That's not logical enough. Secondly, about Lungu, he carried on the vision that the late Sata had to do a better road network for the country. At least he was there when things were happening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of infrastructure, schools, hospitals, but we got to hear, unfortunately, that they were like overpriced, and that's where cadres like came in to supply air, you see, and then people were getting paid for shoddy jobs, for incomplete projects. It's like Lungu was used by the cadres to enrich themselves. Maybe the man didn't even know that he was being used to that level, but they took advantage of his humbleness. Like the earlier speaker mentioned, he was a humble man, and because of that, many wanted him to be in charge so that they could use him to better themselves. And most of them achieved their objective. You know what I want to say as the last thing? I don't know who can guess. The man had a very good handwriting. He had a very good handwriting. May his soul rest in peace. He ran his race. It's up to us now who are living to take the good part about him. He is human, he's had his own weaknesses, but us who are living can only get what he did best and maybe use it to our advantage. I yield.
Right. Doc. Chikonka.
Okay.
Same question. The name Edgar Lungu, what does it resonate with you?
I have to be honest. I just did not pay much attention to the idea of thinking about Lungu in terms of how he led our country.
Mm-hmm.
I think I looked at it in terms of where he came from and how he came in. Lungu was a consequential president, and based on Sata's own prejudice and selfishness. I think it comes from very far. I had a conversation with my Joyce area about how Chiluba brought some cadres with him to Lusaka. And it's not cadres, what they called street kids in Lusaka. Now, these are the street kids that eventually grew up into Lusambos and them. And eventually, those are people that surrounded with Lungu at some point. Now, here's the thing. So, Sata's selfishness gave birth to Lungu's rise. So Lungu didn't even know or had any idea how to lead anything. Later on, his own law firm, unfortunately, became our president, surrounded by all these products of street people that had no idea what to do with our country. Now, from the earlier speaker, the first one, Dr. Soroniso said something about how humble and how tolerant or compatible he was with every kind of human being from the bottom to the top. Yes, some people took a lot of advantages against him and found themselves pretty much leading our country into a direction of militias and violence and cadreism and all that kind of stuff. And he had no way to stop that. He had no way to stop that because that was pretty much a 60-70% of what PF was all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, when we look at all these products of what came of Lungu, it's really hard to see anything good about it. Because if he had really been still in power today, I think Zambia could have fell in the kinds of Congo and them and lawlessness and things like that. But we're glad we have a different president right now. Now, yes, he is a human being, flawed man, human that had some issues of how he couldn't be successful in everything, but I think he was a failure on way too much. It's one thing to say he was making mistakes, but he knew the mistakes. He
Mm-hmm.
actually, he was in bed with the mistakes and he couldn't do anything about it. So it's sad to say something like that in when somebody has died, but the truth of the matter is that much of what most of us know of him is how horrible he led our country and how it totally went into, you know, where it shouldn't have been. I
Right.
yield.
I hear everybody. I hear everybody. I mean, it's one thing looking at somebody as live, such as the sixth Republican president's life, and then really talking about it, asking about it, and also living up to our own, human standards of trying to look at somebody a little different in death, than if they were alive, because there's always this thing, they can't speak for themselves, and I like to draw on a South Korean a proverb that says that the living have to continue living, and so this is where we now we come in. Zambia has to go on living after his demise. And so with that, we really have to objectively look at his legacy now. What has he left? I mean, let's just, even before we even look at the legacy, let's start with the confusion with his death, um, where I think the PF, from what I can see, from all the statements that have been. First of all, I don't know who is the spokesperson in the Lungu family right now. They have five or six, you know, and then who is in charge of the funeral. I don't know if he has any elder brothers or sisters. It's confusion after confusion after confusion. Uh, the so-called acting president, given Lurinda, announces, well, that very Thursday evening, the funeral is going to be at their party secretariat. That's where everybody's gathering. He comes back and say, no, we are bringing Lungu privately, because we took him privately, and all this narrative that they've been putting out there, that everybody has been soaking up. It's hard to even be objective, even if one wanted to. Um, you know. Okay. Well, let me, before maybe we start talking about his legacy, let's bring in a new entrant. Oscar Mwanza, please let us know where you're joining us from. We are simply dedicating this podcast today to talk about the legacy of Mr. Lungu. But maybe before we go there, you may want to answer this question. Um, when you hear of the word or the name Edgar Chagwa Lungu, what comes to your mind?
To me?
Yes, Mr. Mwanza. That's right.
Okay.
And tell us where
I'm,
you're joining us from, please.
I'm joining from Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Mm,
Welcome.
thank you. Mm.
Go ahead.
Uh, when I hear Edgar Lungu, all I think of, because I used to be in Zambia at that time,
Mm-hmm.
I go to Zambia pretty much every year, and
Mm-hmm.
I used to stay longer during Lungu's time.
Mm-hmm.
Is lawlessness, is violence. Um, Zambia had really gone to we're heading the Zimbabwe way. And this is not Facebook stuff. I used to send, because I do part-time farming. So I
Mm-hmm.
take stuff to the market, and it wasn't pretty. The money was there, yes. The debt money was there. Even things at the market could sell fast, but there was so much lawlessness around. You can't believe that.
Right.
Yeah, the day Kambwili was beaten when he joined back PF, I was at Soweto Market.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So this is what I mean. Yeah, I was just trying to get to my next question before you came in. So I guess yeah, maybe before we even talk about his legacy, let's talk about the confusion surrounding his funeral. I mean, for me, if you ask me, how do I sum up his life? Just like I mean, just like what's happening in his death, in right now, it's confusion because you have people that want to ride on his name thinking they're going to garner support to wrestle power from the current government. I see a little bit of cadreism on the part of PF, slowly coming in, and the language itself. So maybe we all work here, so we all work. We have stuff to do over here. So maybe let me start with the Deep Thinker. Since the announcement of the his death, what do you? I mean, I don't know. What do you make of the funeral? Why can't we just have one funeral, a big one funeral for everybody? Why not look at everybody just as Zambians? Why are we dividing ourselves into these small little pockets? Why are we having a funeral at the party secretariat? And now, just before we came on air, uh, you know, um, uh, given Mubinda, the so-called acting president, is asking for people for money because they have run out of food. What do you make about all those confusions? Sean Tembo claiming he's the family spokesperson, crying the loudest. Uh, Tasila Lungu, and there seems to be a division there in the family itself between the kids because the other kids, they are nowhere to be seen. Or what's going on? Talk to me, Deep Thinker.
Oh, well, so for me, the event since the death of Dr. Lungu,
Mm-hmm.
I'm reflecting on it and on that and thinking that really Dr. Lungu was hijacked. The structures within PF, I think, I think even his decision making was hijacked by those people because the behavior of the people after, especially Lubinda and Nakachinda.
Mm-hmm.
McCabe is a lawyer, and we've always known him to be a family lawyer. But Nakachinda and Lungu, it shows that although the backstabbed at Dr. Lungu, those are the people that were bringing the thug life in the Zambian society.
Mm-hmm.
Because I listened very carefully to Tawakawana.
Mm-hmm.
And whether, I don't know if it's true, he said President HH talked to Dr. Lungu. Dr. Lungu called Kawana when he was in South Africa to check on him.
Mm-hmm.
So they make me believe that there was no conversation between anybody in UPND and Dr. Lungu. But now I see that people like Given Lubinda are the ones that are harboring something against UPND. So,
Right.
and finally, I'm going to stop on this one. I've told people I listen to Tayali and Sia One for entertainment. Pure entertainment. I don't listen to anything else but pure
Yeah,
entertainment.
you're not alone.
Yeah. so, so, but Tayali said something very, very important which made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Lungu stopped being a president. He resigned. and he had all those, the package was coming to him as a retired leader. Then he decided to come back into politics. At that point, if I own a political party and Lungu is in politics, then with all rap, the way we interact is different from how I would have interacted with him as a former president. So he came in as a politician playing politics, and it's pretty dirty. So his presidential package was withdrawn because he's back in politics. That's just what the Zambian constitution says. Okay, so don't say UPND mistreated him. No, he entered in an arena where if you are disrespected, that's what happens in there. Okay, then when Lungu died, he's no longer in politics, he's gone. So he gets his status back as a former president. Now, why they are fighting that they wanted to take over his funeral, I'm really confused. And like you said, I'm expecting some family members to stand up and say, hey, this is our position. If they say the family wants to take it up, we want to hear from them, not the representatives, because it's too many of them. But even if the family wants to do that, when the plane lands in Lusaka at KK International Airport, then what? You're in the jurisdiction of the government.
Right.
So are you playing politics over somebody's death? What have we come? What has come of the country that we love? Somebody needs to remind somebody about one Zambia, one nation, one people. I yield.
Not just that. Don't we have our own cultural beliefs, traditions when it comes to funerals? I thought funerals used to be pleasant, that would bring everybody close together, but the way things are unfolding during this funeral, it's confusing to me. I mean, I'm looking at a different Zambia I've never seen before, and quite honestly, as a bystander, as an onlooker, it's disheartening. I can't even tell my friends, look, I'm mourning a former president here, because then they want to Google and YouTube and see the confusion that's obtaining there. Well, let me bring in my lousy husband, Dr. Liswaniso. The confusion at this funeral, I have never seen it. But your comment, I'm lost for words.
Everybody's confused. I guess, including the PF themselves, they are a little bit confused right now, because there are so many avenues. There are four. People are saying there are 4 funeral houses or venues right now. There's a government lodge, there's a PF headquarters, there's Sean Tembo and the group ward, and then there's Tasila Lungu stuff too. So it's very confusing. People don't even know where to go and pay their last respects. So it's very disappointing that the leadership, PF leadership, have decided to cause all this confusion. It's when my father told me at one time, my late father told me that don't make decisions when you are annoyed. And I think all this confusion has been brought by the acting president for PF decision he made when he was still very emotional about the death of Lungu. I could see even that pronouncement that, everybody should assemble at the PF headquarters, but that just came from emotions, I guess. It's now that is realized that you cannot hold such a massive funeral with one toilet. There's one toilet there, okay? And 20,000 people are going to be there using one toilet. So he just realized that all that was talking about PF headquarters being the venue was just out of emotions. He shouldn't have done that. He should have waited and sat with his colleagues and made decisions. So to me, I blame Luvinda for those pronouncements, earlier pronouncements. Now, there are 5 other things that I've observed is happening in this scenario. One, it tells me that the family cohesion or family closeness in the Lungu family was not there. That's one thing I've observed. The family, Lungu's family, was not united, because it's during the funerals actually that most of our families get united. But in this case, I see at the family level, other than at the political PF level, at the first personal family level, Lungu's family is disjointed. Because I've not seen the wife with Tassila, or Tassila with the brothers. I know the brothers are South Africa and one is US or something like that. I mean the siblings, but still, the Tassila is alone with the husband and the lawyer, and then we don't know where Esther Lungu is. We don't know where the other, the brother, Tassila's brother is, and all that. So it's just so disjointed. You would hope that old people in the family, every family has uncles and aunties, that normally becomes spokesmen. That's a normal Zambian scenario. Our uncles take over. We all start listening to our uncles and our aunties become spokesmen of the family. But we have these professional lawyers talking on behalf of the family, in very un-Zambian, in my view, very un-Zambian. When we have a Zambian funeral, our uncles they lead the funeral procession. They are the people we look up to. But Lungu's family seems to have no such structure. The other thing that I've observed is that deep thinker or somebody that said, I think Lungu's rule was hijacked by people around him. I really believe that was the case, in the sense that when Lungu, because Lungu was diagnosed with this cancer a long time ago, he knew that he needed the regular chemotherapy and stuff like that. So after retirement, he should have prioritized his health. I listened also to Simon Mwewa's channel. He said the truth. He said, Lungu, when he retired, that was an opportunity for him to say, now it's my health and that's it. Okay, politics aside, and let me just retire, start enjoying my retirement, and then take care of this illness. But the people like surrounding him, the Nakachindas and the Luvindas, I think they encouraged him to go back, and no, Zambians want you back and all that. In health, cancer is the most devastating disease you can get that suppresses immunity. Not even HIV is as bad as cancer. Okay, so when you have cancer, your body immune system is really attacked, because that's what it does. It goes and just slaughters your body. That's why it grows like crazy. So he knew he has cancer. His immune system was so weak, and he goes into another. If you put stress in a stressed body, I mean, the immune system just collapses. So his priorities, he got his priorities wrong. I just wonder whether he had some personal doctor advice. Any doctor would have advised him to retire and take care of his cancer. But I don't know whether he ignored his medical advisors around him or not, and he chose to be, to believe the political advisors, the Nakachindas. The other thing that I've observed out of this confusion is that there is some money, or what I would call funding aspects of this confusion. I think the confusion it's related to some money or funding type of thing, in the sense that I think the PF, after they left office, most of them were not ready for their future. They didn't know what to do, and I think Lungu held the key to the money or the funding of the whole organization. And that's the reason why you could see everybody was still congregating around him, wanting to. I think that's the reason why they are now desperate. They don't know what's going to happen. And I was just talking to somebody to say, I hope they still have access to the money, Because if they don't have any access to Lungu's money, that's the end of PF. Politically, that will be the end. Because as you can see, a small thing like food has run out. Okay, and they have 3 more days to say how many, up to Thursday. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They have 4 more days to fund that so-called funeral at the party headquarters. And people have run out of food. So they can't handle this financially. They can't. I don't know why they're trying to take over the whole thing. Yeah, so finally, I just think that there's going to be a lot of desperation from the PF leadership, and there's going to be fightings. This is going to be a long run of disputes within the party. I yield.
Great. Before we get to Mr. Mwami and Mr. Mwanza here, let me bring a lady perspective. Madam Joyce Chiwe, your comment. I mean, when you look at that confusion, what do you make of it? 5 family spokesperson, pronouncements, the funeral at the party secretariat, running out of food, they're asking for donations now. What's going on? What's going on?
Thank you. I'm not surprised of the confusion, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm there, we are just the 2 ladies here, and I'm sure there are viewers listening to us. President Lungu's coming into politics, or not politics, but presidency, he entered with confusion, and he is exiting, or he has exited with confusion. So for me, I'm not surprised at what is going on. If you remember, after the late Michael Sata passed away, there was a lot of confusion saying the Vice President, Guy Scott, is not Zambian enough to act before we go to the general election. There was confusion there. The constitution is straightforward. Secondly, the confusion came when they held meetings in the darkness, and KBF comes out to tell everyone that Lungu was the one that Mr. Sata chose. Confusion right there. Then they had 2 separate conventions, one led by, Madam former Vice President Winner, and another faction by Guy Scott. In the end, Lungu emerged as the person that was going to take over from Michael Sata. Confusion right there. Now he's gone, there's confusion. So it's not surprising to me. I don't know why all of us are thinking there's confusion. It came in with confusion and is exiting with it. So therefore, what I can conclude with this is that the family, like the other speakers already said, should have been the ones coming now to guide this confusion to stop. But the family looks to be dysfunctional. Like someone has already said, in our language, like the Tongas, the Salas, the Bantu Botatwe, or any other. Now, this person who has passed away, meaning the former president, has got the elders that sit down, maybe with the government, and say, the children, you can't say anything right now. Uyu muntu wesu, this is our person. Turakala kujiriango. We want now to lead how this is going to be done, how this funeral is going to be done. Even that uncle who doesn't even have any money, when times like this come, he's the one we listen to, because he's talking on behalf of the whole family, and this is their son. Dr. Edgar Lungu was the former president, yes, but he has a family where he came from. Where are they? This is the time when we should see that uncle who probably only Dr. Lungu could call, just like he was calling everyone else when he was sick. Even there in South Africa, one of them should have represented the family, not only maybe the wife and the children. Looking at the information that is at hand, they said Dr. Lungu survived with 6 children. Where are they? Are they from different mothers? In Zambia, whether you are from a different mother, your father dies, the children come together. They don't even look at those separate mothers. In this case, the family should put their foot down and say, government, help us. Even if Lungu had money to bury himself, but he worked for Zambia. Take it over, bury him, put aside all the political differences that were there. Like someone has said, if you are in the ring as a boxer, I like to watch, boxing. Muhammad Ali is there and Joe Frazier. Guess what? Joe Frazier will not look at Muhammad Ali because he was a champion. He's there to fight in the ring. When President Lungu came back into politics after his presidency, he was there with full gloves to fight UPND, and he did it. And when you are in that ring, it's either your punch or their punch, and this time it was UPND punch that brought him down. Not that they contributed to his death, like other people are saying that UPND killed him. No. We know that in Africa, there's no natural death. There's always someone who's, responsible for it. Whether you had cancer, they will say it's that uncle at home who does this. No, please, let's desist from there. Now, in this case, the political people like who were, after his wealth, after his name, that's why they put him there as a bait, as a shining thing because of their own ambitions. And the family should realize that. They shouldn't be weak, just like President Lungu was. He gave in for the Luvindas, Nakachindas, and all that, despite him being that weak. They capitalized on that one until the man went down. The family should sit down as family and get this resolved once and for all. As for Makebi, the lawyer, we want, if I were in their shoes, I would only want him to speak when he's reading the will. That's all. Not telling us where to bury our dad. He should tell us whether our father left a will and he should read it to the family. That is his job right now. So PF, I don't even know whether it exists because Mao Sampa was the president, Chawinga was the president. Now we hear is Luvinda. Tonse also, I don't know who is Tonse, who's Ukwa. So that confusion, what I can tell the viewers is that it's not surprising with me because President Lungu came into the confusion. He brought in the confusion and he has exited with the confusion. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Well spoken, well articulated there. Mr. Mwanza, before we go to Bachulufia, I see Bachulufia is back on here.
Wamaja.
Okay, we are
Okay.
all righty that one. But let's go with
Okay.
Mr. Mwanza for instance, for starters, for right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
The confusion, just help me understand.
Thank you very much. Without repeating what Madam Joyce Chibwe said, I'd actually similar thoughts. I'm not surprised with the confusion. Remember, my earlier comment was that it was all lawlessness, total confusion. This has continued. Like Madam Chibwe Joyce Chibwe said, Lungu entered with confusion. There were two conventions. He exited with confusion. Even his coming back, I really wonder whether Lungu, because they said he was sick from 2015. Okay, so they knew he has a medical condition. When Lungu was he contested 2016, again 2015 confusion, 2016 confusion. But once he lost, I think he should have focused on his health. And I would say in Africa and most of the rest of the world, you may fail to develop the country or to deliver on your promises, but to fix your opponent is very easy. So Lungu should have thought through and focus on his medical condition than this or things like that. It's also people you surround yourselves with. You have the Nakachindas, the Ruvindas, we Muitine, Chintinya, Chintinya, Chintinya. I don't think Lungu really thought through. I don't know. It's like, is he that easily convinced? It was very disastrous for him. And wherever he went, it's confusion. They started with the Okwa. Where is it now? They are suspending each other every day. He went to Tonse, the same thing. There's I don't know, 2 or 3 secretary generals, Shoni Tembo, this, and it's still is the father of confusion, you know. And then the Luvindas and Nakachindas making these announcements. These guys are very mature and realistic. Consider, what about if these heads of state come for Lungu's funeral? They'll go to that party secretariat. It's actually the dirty place. If you have been there, they'll go there. That confusion, they're very, very immature and very unrealistic. Even someone said they listen to Tayari for entertainment. Even Tayari, he starts making sense. Even Sia One, he starts making sense. So I don't know what kind of weed these guys smoke, but
Did you say weird?
yeah, and these are presidential materials. So even the way you speak and your thinking, it should reflect what you aspire to be. So
Right.
if be given can stand there and say with Zafata Benajarapado, so these Veneramaposas, they come for the funeral, they will be a part secretariat.
Well, I mean, they don't think that if any sitting president or a former president will have to come into Zambia, they will need assurances from the Zambian government that they will be able to offer them security.
Yes.
They don't just pop up,
No.
as if they've
So
they're coming from my mother's village in Lugwalo, just popping up at my house in Lusaka. It doesn't happen like that.
no. But anyway,
Anyway, it's the Zambia we live in.
thank you.
Mr. Maja, you have the floor, please.
Yes, I'll take you back to Mulungushi Rock of Authority. Mulungushi what? Mulungushi University, where the PF convention was held, the last one, in which they wanted to choose a president. The ballots were counted, people voted, ballots were counted, and suddenly we had someone asking people to show their hands, especially if they wanted Lungu as president. Who does that? Ballots have been counted. We need numbers. By show of hands, Lungu was declared the winner, despite elections having been held. That was the start of confusion. You see, given chance, that was
What happened to you, Mr.
Yeah.
We lost you. I guess let's go to Mr. Tanda Chilufia, my most
back.
handsome co-host. Oh, he's back. Go ahead.
I'm back. So
Go ahead.
that was a chance for PF to get a genuine leader if they
You're
had gone
always
by
very,
the ballots.
you're very faint.
I don't know. Like, can
Me, I don't know. What are you using today? You're using a new technology or what?
No, the same technology.
Maybe
Same
you're using
technology.
those wireless things.
No, he's
We can
using
hear him.
Huawei. He's
Yeah, we
using
can hear.
he's using Huawei microphone. Go ahead,
Boss.
Bana.
I'm using boss. Okay. Am I audible enough now?
Yes, better.
Yes,
Yes.
very clear now.
Okay. It's Samsung now. Samsung to Samsung. So if PF had gone the ballot way, PF could have had a better president. But the abandoning of the voting, the counting of the ballots, that stuff where you have winner so much with so many votes, this so many with so many votes, that being abandoned created the confusion that PF has found himself and themselves in. So they made the bed and they must sleep on it.
Bye.
So you have this confusion currently where there is Coppola guys coming in from Copper Belt. The way they are coming in with they are not even singing songs of those songs that people sing at funerals. They're just behaving like unruly cadres. I just don't understand. They are just coming to cause confusion. Kwati mariro ya Mkombo ni sure. Aya wakateka. Yes, he came from Chawama, but let this funeral just have some decency, some order. The man is government property. Let's see something that makes sense. You know, Edgar Machas, he was a president for the people. There's a level at which everything that was bad about him, Kadarism, should just come to an end. We just want to see normalness, soberness. The other point I need to raise is you are talking about uncles, aunties. Let's just get close. His brothers. Any of his brothers that are coming on the scene now, maybe to be the chief mourner. If people go to that funeral house, who are they going to greet? Who is seated on the mattress? You know how we women sit in the house where there's a funeral. Who's seated there? The auntie, the mother, the sister, the nephews. That kind of arrangement. We want to see that Africanness. There's a protocol. When people come, who are they going to greet? It's not certainly they should not greet Sean Tembo. Where does he come in?
Well, maybe
Like the other lady said, that other woman, that lawyer should read the will. Period. Even Madam Esther Lungu, she has sisters. Maybe she has a mother. They can be by that place. But all that is absent. PF cadres have run out of food. Whew, I can't imagine. Anyway, in fact, that PF arrangement is theirs. They should arrange food for themselves. In fact, they have MPs. Maybe the MPs can donate food and then feed those people. But otherwise, that PF, that's their own baby. They should not even they should not even ask for people to donate food. No, they can just how can they can just organize themselves and buy food for them. That's a private arrangement. Belvedere Lodge, if food runs out, I'll be the first one to say, UPND, I think this is not fine. But if you go at Belvedere Lodge now, everything is in place because that's a kind of funeral a former president deserves. You know, I've been privileged enough to be in the forefront of a state funeral. You see, my late uncle Mainza Chona, when he died, a state funeral is not an ordinary funeral. They even make advance arrangements. I remember being driven to Monze, me and my uncle, with a vehicle from State House to go and look for 2 animals to be slaughtered before every other person from Lusaka comes in for the funeral in Monze. I mean, there was just that treatment, uncle, which is the brother to the late Mainza Chona, and me as a nephew. Just that treatment made things look different. And I saw, oh, so a state funeral is not something where people should even run out of food. That PF thing they have, please, it's theirs. Buses were arranged for people from Lusaka to Monze. No one got stranded from church. Bus after bus. A state funeral is well arranged because it's for a prominent person, and Lungu deserves such a thing. I yield.
Brilliant. The most handsome host over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we're broadcasting live from Ontario, Canada. This is a very, sensitive issue, actually, for most of us, for everybody, for every Zambian, because we need to look at it on two folds. The first is, Valungu, when he announced, first of all, may he so rest in peace and everything, according to the protocols. But he said he wanted to come back into politics. So now, when he came back to politics, according to the Zambian constitution, this is nothing made up by UPND. It's the constitution of Zambia. If you come back into politics, you'll be stripped of all your benefits and everything. Okay, you will have minimum, at a certain extent and certain things. But if you say you want to come back into politics, those things are going to be done. It's unfortunate that during that period when he came back into politics, his health wasn't well, and everybody was still pushing him, especially the PF front, to continue being in the politics instead of advising him to go home and relax and choose a leader. Okay, so that's where it is. So when they did that, they put a strain to his life, to his family, and to everything. I think people really need to really understand it and look at it in that perspective, because even me, if I was once a leader and they keep on calling me every day, yeah, we want you back, but my health is not well or good. I would tell them that, look, gentlemen, my health is not well. I need to concentrate on my health. But the people will keep on gassing, telling him, oh, come back. We need you. Why? Because they knew that the gentleman, he had all the money, he had everything, and he could, financially sponsor the PF party. Now, what happened is now he's dead. And the first thing that, like the PF Patriotic Front have done is declare themselves. And one given Luvinda is on the podium saying he's declared 7 day, and they've been mourning, and the funeral will be at their secretariat. But they are forgetting one thing. Valungu is not an ordinary person. He was a former president. So that's one thing that people need to understand. He's a former president, and a former president deserves a state funeral. There's no way, in case Ramaphosa wants to come to Zambia to mourn Edgar Lungu, is he going to go to the secretariat? Are you sure? Are you sure he's going to go to the secretariat? No. Somebody needs to have a dignified funeral. Okay, despite the differences in policies, the differences in how he ruled the country, that doesn't matter. At the point right now, he is a what you call it is a state asset, and the state needs to take care of that. And I was very disappointed, by the way, like but Auntie was saying, like, look, why is Makebe Zulu offering those statements? Okay, the family, the Takwaba family representatives, Takwaba, who are the big people in the Lungu family? Abafiash, but obviously they've got elder people, Abafiash and stuff like that. This is not for you, Makebe Zulu. We already know Makebe Zulu made a lot of money through the Lungu family and the Patriotic Front. Okay, but you should have actually even advised them in a proper way to say, no, I think let the government take, a position in this, because it's mandated in the Constitution. Even if by HH didn't love him, or even if Mia didn't love him, or even if nobody, it's mandated in the Constitution. A former president deserves a state funeral. It's simple. In state funeral, it's automatic. It's there written in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So, you see? So those are the things that I think I'm going to end from here. And people would come in and chime in on that one. Thank you very much. I submit.
Right. I think before we move, and keep saying before we move. Yes, we'll move to legacy a little bit, but I think let's just debunk some of the accusations that arose since his demise. And the first one is the accusation that. I mean, I don't know if these people have they even looked at Mr. Lungu's medical, record, for them to claim that it's because of the government denied his movement to South Africa back in 2023. That's what led to his death. I mean, I'm no scientist, but gentlemen, I mean, if I think it was on this podcast that actually we did discuss the that incident where he was turned at the airport because he was going to on a fundraiser to South Korea, isn't it? He was going to attend some conference. Remember that? So why these people keep saying no because he was denied, a trip to South Africa for medical? I mean, what's up with these lies? They keep telling lies, lie after lie. Look at the interview that Hijacker Nakachinda did in South Africa on SABC, and I'm disappointed with SABC that they couldn't find any of the government, spokesperson to make that report a little balanced. I mean, what do you guys make of the lies that are being peddled by the PF surrogates and all? Shall we go to? Let's start with the man with all the information at his fingertips. Doc, this one is so.
All right.
Yeah, what do you think of the lies that are being peddled by the PF surrogates in terms of he was denied a trip to go to South Africa for treatment in 2023. That's what led to this death. When we knew at the time, I think we did discuss it on here, where he was going to South America. Remember? I mean, not South America, South Korea for some conference that never existed. We knew he was going out there for fundraising, and so why are they? I mean, I don't understand the connection. So if he didn't go for treatment in 2023, that's what has led to the death. When we knew he was going on some fundraiser,
it's called desperation to find a reason or their actions, which are not, in this case, not honorable type of actions. They're just trying to find reasons for their desperation. To be honest, they are confused. They don't know what to do next because they had put all their eggs in one basket called Lungu, and now they don't know what to do. It's just that simple. They are confused. They don't know where to start from and where they're going. And to be honest, let the funeral pass peacefully. Let's bury our former president. And we shall never, ever hear from people like Nakachinda because basically they're broke. They don't have enough money to do anything. They're all depending on Lungu. So it's just desperation, so to speak. They don't know what to do. That's all I can say.
Right. Let me see here. My sister, Mama Joyce Chibwe. I'm sure you've listened to all these lies that are being peddled. What do you make of the lies? I mean, how does HH kill? I mean, Lungu for what? What does he gain from Lungu's death or the UPND or a trip? Talk to that, please.
Yes, ma'am. When you are broke, you say anything to justify your brokenness. So I listened to that interview with Nakachinda. You can tell I'm in the medical field myself. So you can't say that because somebody was denied, which is a lie, for him to go for medical treatment. You reach a stage where we tell patients that regardless the treatment that we give them, some types of cancer, actually he pushed so hard. He could have lived a little bit longer if he wasn't stressful. I'm just thinking that from the medical point of view, that he was told that he should have been on hospice, just to have time with his loved ones comfortably and stuff like that, instead of pushing it on and taking medication that is not working. Just, so that aside, I don't have any record regarding that. I'm just thinking that's what we tell patients when that stage, reaches to that extent. So the lies really comes from those people that are broke, and now they're saying what next for our lives and our careers as politicians, because the breadwinner is gone. That's why we need to build generation wealth on our own, so that if something happens like that, you have something to lean on. You always blame someone, even in the Garden of Eden. When Adam and Eve sinned, guess what? It was a blaming game. Adam told God that it's this woman that you gave to me. Why? It's because
Hello?
they were at fault. So now they are built these Nakachindas. They just have to come out with some lies just to build now their strategy of how they can be recognized out there. The other point I'm coming to is that it's a lesson, to all the other politicians that are going to be in government or aspiring to be in government. It's so shameful to stand there where he was standing, looking cool but broke, telling the whole world that we don't have medical facilities in Zambia that can, take care of our own. We need to stop that. We need to stop flying these politicians who ruled us for so many years, who are supposed to correct the wrongs in our health care and seek medical treatment out there. When a child in Chiboria cannot afford that, and those are the voters, our grassroots, when they're sick, who takes them out there? These guys, the Lungus, had plundered the economy of Zambia. On top of that, the current government is so kind enough on behalf of the Zambian people and Zambian money to still take them out for treatments that you know you'll never get better. But we still push it, all be in the name of politics. It's high time. This is a lesson. This is the positive part of President Lungu for the Zambian people to realize that we need a good health care so that all these lies they're talking about that the current government killed the former president should stop. I like that lady who was interviewing him who said if he was denied, despite him coming to South Africa since 2015, why didn't he get follow-ups in Zambia? He was biting his tongue. He said that, well, but this kind of ailment needed to follow up with his doctors.
He said there are some patients from South Africa who come to Zambia for treatment.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? He lied that too. Yes, yeah, I heard him saying that. I've never heard of a South African president coming for treatment to UTH. I've never heard that. Those are just desperations, and that's the confusion I always talk about, that they came in with the game of confusion and they exited with the game of confusion. I submit.
Oh, great.
Madam Cornette, if you let me just add what Madam just said.
I was coming to you, Mr. Mwanza. Go ahead.
Yes, this point there of we are crying whether a leader was delayed to go for medical treatment. For me, it's like a distraction, and we're not learning anything, right? So it's Nawakwi, it's Lungu, is this one. So the big picture is exactly what Madam Joyce said: is we need to invest in our medical system. So I know we are abroad, we don't live in Zambia, but it's also embarrassing that we could be crying and be debating this, that we can't even treat our own former head of state. We don't even have a hospital where these prominent people, we can send them and treat them, they die in our hospitals. You know, and look at the history. None of these people we send to South Africa, to India, have come back. A lot of money is spent and they come back as dead bodies. So and for Mr. Lungu, really, if you noticed, even his voice wasn't audible enough. Like it was getting worse. You could hear his voice, but you can't really hear what he's saying. You know, he has stopped jogging. Was doing more of the walking than the jogging. So he was just deteriorating. But instead of focusing on his medical condition, he got pulled into this Arewera or Plan B project. Yeah, you know. So I don't know who killed. I don't think you can say the UPND killed him. No. It's I disagree.
All right.
Can I chip in as well? Can I just chip
Before
in?
you chip in, Mr. Matt, how about we bring in a new entrant, Mr. Lovemore Simbeye? Welcome to the podcast. Tell us where you're joining us from. We are discussing here the confusion in the PF during these trying times, as we remember our sixth Republican president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa. Your comment on that, and tell us where you're joining us from, please. Mr. Simbeye, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. I'm able to pick you over.
All right, great. Go ahead. Good. Tell us where you're joining us from, and your opinion of the ongoings in the in the PF vis-a-vis with the funeral that we have of Mr. Lungu. Your comment.
Yeah, it's unfortunate actually. First and foremost, I just wish to pass my a message of condolences to the Lungu family. We are deeply sorrowful about the situation in their family. We just want to mourn with them as human beings and as people that always want to live to remember each other. But I would wish that this funeral we just mourn as human beings and not based on political lines, because I have already seen that many people have begun to politicize the funeral, wanting to put a blame here and there, condemning the current government doing this and the causa. And I just followed up even an online publication which Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba was trying to try and twist the whole case of this funeral. And, good enough, people intercepted, like one gentleman from Zimbabwe who tried to correct Emmanuel Mwamba and advised him not to take advantage of such a solemn moment to bring in politics and take mileage over it. So we should learn as Zambians to change in the way we handle issues that pertain to funerals, especially concerning people that are in politics or big figures in our country. Let us learn to take a funeral as it's supposed to be handled. I think our president, Hakainde Hichilema, has given some profile of how to handle and respect funerals. Wherever there's a funeral which he attends, we have seen his behavior. So generally, I would wish and I would love the mindset change on the Zambian people to try and be able to find grief, the expression of grief to show them a solemn situation in you that you feel compassionate. We need just to bring ourselves together, that compassionate can unite us all. Compassionate can make us realize the reason why we should always be there for each other. So I think for now, that's my comment, because I've just joined in and I just want to follow up and to see what people are looking into this matter.
Great.
Thank you so much.
And where are you joining us from? Are you in Zambia by any chance?
So come again? I can't hear you.
Are you in Zambia by any chance?
Yeah. I am in Zambia right now, in the northern part of the country.
Okay. What's the mood there? What's the mood?
Well, people are so sad and so touching because in the northern part, politically, northern has been mostly championed by patriotic front, the past party that was in government, and most of the people were attached to the line of our late 60th Republican President Edgar Lungu. And so the question here is so touching because people have taken it so personal. The funeral it's like it is just happening where they are living in their homes. So people are frustrated, majority of them, and when you meet some, you really have to be careful because those that are in the political lines, they are blaming the government and the president of this republic to say he has contributed to the death, and probably we can say he has led to this situation, which is not the case. It's unfortunate, but we just have to understand how they feel, because the bottom of the matter is they have lost the person I think they felt they loved, and this is the situation in the northern part.
Well, we appreciate that opinion, and thank you for joining us. Shall we go to now the deep thinker? You've been too quiet.
No. You said Mr. Mata. Mr. Mata.
Mr. Masha, I forgot.
I don't know.
All right, my brother from Shibuyunji.
Okay, I
Yes,
have
go ahead.
I have a question. First of all, I have a question for the previous speaker, Mr. Simbe.
Okay.
Mr. Simbe, is there a funeral at the province level, maybe at one of the provincial headquarters there? Are they mourning, like they have gathered at the district? Because the Luvinda said there was going to be something like that. Maybe shed some light on that one.
Okay, there's no such a nature of gathering as such as you are trying to imagine. It's not happening. It's not there, neither at province or district. The environment is as ordinary life. You see people walking, do ABCD, their daily usual business, but when you confront them just to find out how they are doing, how they are, they begin to express what they are feeling and how they have received this situation we are in. So this is the environment that we are seeing. So we are not seeing any gathering and at all. We are not seeing any groups of people trying to, sit like they are all mourning together. But it is the daily life is, we see people like every day that we have been seeing them before even this funeral. But what changes, what makes you begin to see what's going on is when you are interacting, you begin to interact with individuals and you begin to get expressions of what people have attached themselves to the funeral. I hope I've answered
No,
what you
point,
expect.
point,
Thank you.
point of correction, sir. I'm not imagining anything. I'm just going by the words that given Luvinda said, to say there should be provincial funerals at district levels, so where PF sympathizers should meet and mourn the president. Those are not my words. Those are words from Mr. Given Luvinda. He mentioned it in public.
For putting what you didn't say in your mouth. Sorry.
Okay,
Thank you for that correction. Yeah. But
then,
I think the situation, as I've said, no gatherings. I think Luvinda is just trying to gain mileage on try to incite a situation where people would feel like they can come up with such gathering. Otherwise, it's not near the minds of people, and this funeral is not different as to any other funeral that we have heard of our past presidents that have gone, except that when you see the regime of PF, I think most of the people, most of the Zambians, from the way I followed up in the way the governance system was being handled by our friend, you would see that the governance system of hooked up the feelings of people in the sense that most of the people felt so attached to PF compared to the previous other governments where people would consider separating the personal things to get hooked to and the governance of the government. So this is a picture that we are just seeing now that that marks different from the governance system of the past regime. So I think that is what I can say for now. Looking at what has come out of since PF came out of government and what people have been trying to live by in the new governance system. Thank you.
Yeah, then my chance is here. I didn't exhaust. I just asked a question. My contribution is emanating from the character in Mumbipiri. That lady should have toned down in the way she wanted the former president to get back to politics, to an extent of telling him to go and withdraw a letter that he sent to cabinet office so that they should start suffering together. In the presence of Esther Lungu, the wife, women, what are you made of? You don't respect the other woman, the woman who is a husband, wife and a husband. You can't even respect. You even go to an extent. Kapokeni feleta iliamu achitire with iliamu alembere. Tuchite withdraw. Baba. Mukombe landeni po. Mukombe. Atishani. Mano ya msango shani. Bana mayo. What are you made of?
What are you trying to say, Mr. Mwami?
Mumbi Piri was telling Edgar to say, go and withdraw that letter you wrote so that we start suffering together in the presence of Esther Lungu.
But we just established that Mr. Lungu was, he didn't have his own mouth. I mean, he was, what was Dr. Biswaniso's words? He was hijacked by the cadre.
Now, a woman telling a man, woman, imagine how low he went. A woman.
Yeah, he was hijacked by
a woman.
Yeah.
By a woman.
Yes. What's wrong? I mean, the way you are putting it, it's like women are less beings.
I mean,
you need to refrain that and apologize to the women folk.
But she was not supposed to speak in so strong terms.
She's an individual,
especially in the presence of.
No, sir. Let me come in on the issue.
Especially in the presence of another woman.
Yes, Mama.
Talking as a woman as well. Don't blame Mupiri alone. It takes two to tango. We already have discussed at length how weak our former president was, and the pressures he had from the party to pressurizing him to do whatever he was doing. He was the weakest link here. Okay? Not the women, not the cadres. We may blame all these cadres, but even himself, he had a mind of his own. Remember when these leaders get sick, especially the position of a presidency, I think we should, realize that since they belong to government, we should allow the government of the day to give updates of their conditions when they are sick. Just like here in the United States, we have President Biden diagnosed with cancer. And at each stage, I'm sure they will be informing us, just like when President Trump had COVID, we knew which hospital he was at, what treatment he was getting, so that when Lungu died like now, it shouldn't have been a surprise to all of us, like the man was just jogging, he was okay, and suddenly he dropped dead. Because that's the picture out there. Okay? Secondly, when President Lungu himself was in government, when President Kaunda died, President Kaunda's children said President Kaunda's wish was to be buried next to his wife, Betty. But President Lungu said the government of the day says and has given instructions. It's going to be a state funeral, yes, but it's going to be buried at that hero's place. He didn't follow what the family said, to the extent that he even asked our own president right now not to attend the funeral. That's how some governments operate, and that's how strong they are. So, like already some people have said, if this funeral is going to take place at the Secretariat, is President Mnangagwa going there where there's no toilet? Who's going to provide the security? Whether he likes to come, his security will also ask him. We have to get in contact with the government of the day. Now, the government of the day, they're telling us that they shouldn't get involved. How will they come to that funeral? So the Luvindas, if they want to be our presidents in future, they better think beyond that. I submit.
Right. And now let's go to the deep thinker.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to make a comment on what Jiwe said, if Mnangagwa wants to come to the funeral, he will have to come with his own security details. And those who have to communicate with the Zambian government. So they need to think this through. They really need to think this through, because I don't know what they're thinking. All right. So I want to make it very clear that politicians lie, because that was the question you said. Let's comment about the lies, right?
Yes, yes.
Politicians lie. The only difference is that some have calculated lies that they can back up, and others, they just lie. Nagachinda just lies. Lubinda just lies. So they just lie for the sake of lying, because I mean that's what gets them political mileage. Now they normally they want to make themselves relevant because they lost the power. Look at Sean Temple crying. So hey, everybody has the right to mourn the way they want to mourn the person who has died. Sean Temple died crying. I don't know what that was. Trying to make himself relevant. So they don't have anything to stand on or stand for, so they will lie and stand on that lie. That's just what is going happening to seek some sympathy. Now, coming back to Malungu, rest in peace, and with all due respect, when I said that Lungu was compromised, but Dr. Lungu was compromised, I was talking about when he was in government. Now let's come to personal life. I don't run anything but my household. I have control over it.
Right.
You know, Dr. Lungu ran the country, and then he resigned. So we can talk about all these people going to him, persuade him to come back to politics. At the end of the day, we need to find out what was going on in Lungu's head. He probably wanted to come back because there might have been some things he wanted to correct that he wouldn't correct if he's outside the political arena. There's some things he wanted to say that he could not have said outside of the political arena. So we can talk about Nagachinda and them going to him to persuade him. There had to be at least 60% of him wanting to come back. Because in my household, if I'm going to respect my health, that's my personal decision. I'll decide, no, I'm not doing all that unless I have some interest. So we need to find out what Dr. Lungu's interest of going back in politics was.
Cover-ups.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're going to be
Think
circling around and blaming everybody else, but the one who made the decision. Because there's nothing they could have done to him, kill him or what. No, they couldn't have done anything to him if he said no. So he had to have an idea of what he wanted going back to politics. So he compromised his health for the sake of whatever reasons got him back in politics. Now, the lies again, I come back. I've been reading up and researching on this cyber law, trying to find out which one will get Nagachinda. I have read and read and read. Somebody help me, because what they're doing is borderline national security. Because the things they're saying that I've heard them say, they could cause some riots. The things they're saying, they could actually cause Zambia to be ungovernable. So I'm still reading on those. If somebody can help me find for my own satisfaction. Please let me know. I yield.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I,
My
yeah,
turn that
I
you
just
yeah.
want, yeah,
No,
yeah, I
before
just
you
want.
come, go ahead, Basimbe. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, I like the previous speaker and what he has lamented, and it's so unfortunate, you know. Funeral, though we are in the sorrowful moment, it's so unfortunate that late former President Edgar Lungu has left a legacy which is full of bad history. You get the point. He has left a bad legacy where he left this nation into problems, and we couldn't pay back the credit that money we borrowed. He left this country, messed up the economy. He left this country ungovernable, where cadres would, you know, uh, um, 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 tolerate everyone. He left a legacy which is quite different from other past presidents. That's so
Right.
unfortunate. And probably this is the reason why he wanted to come back to power, to come and correct what he saw as something that would do to make a legacy better. Because you know, when you are in the terrace, you are watching football, you see better football outside the pitch when you're just watching. But when you are inside the pitch, you don't see the errors that you players who are playing are doing. But the spectators, those that are watching. So when he came out of presidency, that is when he began to see the mistakes and how he governed this country. Probably he wanted to push an agenda to come and correct his legacy, which is so unfortunate he couldn't do. So this is the difference that makes him different from other presidents. That what the legacy has left is something that has left a mark on the Zambian people. Today, even PF continues to show the same legacy by doing propaganda instead of respecting the constitutional rights that the government has to arrange the funeral of the former. They want to do things in their own hands, which is trying to be lawlessness. This is the same legacy they are pondering on, that their leader has left in this nation. It's so unfortunate. So we need to correct that. That even when they are trying to bring things that are lawlessness, we just have to be hard. I think the government just has to do what it can to make sure that they put to rest every nonsense that our friends are trying to do. They are not respecting the funeral at all. They want to show lawlessness continue, which is a legacy that they have been living on. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's also remember, Mr. Lungu himself said he was coming back to power to serve his family. Those were his actual words. Well, let me bring in Batanda Tufi. The lies that we are hearing since Mr. Lungu died on Thursday. What is your comment? Batanda Tufi. Okay. Let's go to who's it? Let's go to Doc. Doc, have you already commented on the lies as they're being peddled by the PF? You have anything to say over there before we move on?
Yeah, I've already said that was desperation, and they don't
Oh,
know what to do. They are lost.
all right, let's move on. Let's just move on now to what is his legacy. What is Mr. Lungu's legacy? I mean, he ruled, he presided over our country's affairs for a good 7 years, and I mean, I know a lot of you have touched on the violence, the cadreism, the corruption, and I'm pretty sure. People here have a lot more to say on that. So, what is Mr. Lungu's legacy? And hopefully, we can wrap this up shortly. Um, Shall we start with Basimbe, somebody on the northern circuit of the country? What is Mr. Lungu's legacy?
Well, like I'm just from saying the legacy is not the good, something good to I think Zambians to receive and emulate. The legacy is extremely bad legacy because the governance system that Lord Edgar Lungu has left, or the governance system that he managed to govern this country was very different from other previous governments, because you just mentioned corruption. You could see how cadres had powers within themselves, how cadres would torture people. We would hear the Kamgodi system, the lawlessness that those that have remained to run PF, they still exist with impunity, that they can't respect the government of a day, they can't respect the laws that are there to guide them, the laws that they were using to try and govern this country, which they are failing to respect. So the legacy is really a very grave grave and bad legacy, because this country was left in a very deep credit, and the economy messed up. You saw how civil servants started getting their salaries rate. Where we were heading is somewhere else. So we can't talk good about the legacy that the late president has left. All we see are bad things that didn't govern this country well. Themselves were reflecting, they would celebrate, have parties, but the lives of the people of Zambia, people could not, they were traumatized. People were not free to speak out. People were traumatized. When something goes wrong, no any Zambian would speak. And they brought in the tribalism thing, they sponsored this thing. We talk of gassing people. What are we going to talk about this legacy? So this is a bad legacy that he has left. So unfortunate. We are sorrowful, but yes, because as a person, you know how it feels that when someone dies, because
Right.
as human nature, as human beings, from the beginning of God's creation, we have not accepted death. So it's difficult to accept death. It comes every day in our life, but things that we do have an impact. What the late president did is a bad legacy that he has left. He probably wanted to come back to power in the name of trying to save his family, but himself had seen where he wanted to touch, probably is to correct the legacy that he had created. And so unfortunately, it has remained to be like that. No one will correct it. Thank you. I think that's my point of view.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Simbe. Well spoken. But I don't want to debate with you. I mean, I'm just going to say, as somebody who was hijacked, as it's been established on this podcast, I really don't think he wanted to come and save or correct his legacy. He was coming here just to service people, and the people that had his power over him, they would have gone back to doing what they used to do, violence, steal some more, and continue partying. I mean, I think that's what they're missing now, because the difference between this government and the previous one, the previous was, ubomba muibara, kuiba muibara. This government has come in is that you have to work and work and work if you want to party. So having said that, let's go on Kuliba Chanda Chilufia. Hopefully your mic is well hooked up now. What is Mr. Lungu's legacy? And maybe
Yeah.
you also want to correct the lies that have been peddled. You've got the floor.
Yeah. You know, Well, the legacy is one. He was the president of Zambia. I think we all can give him that. Not so many people are privileged to be a president of a country. So
Right.
that in its all is a plus on any
Right.
living or dead president's resume. But we need to understand, like, look, there are so many underlying factors, that describes the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think I just want to tap on one thing actually that's going to be a bone of quotation after next week,
Mm-hmm.
which is the benefits. Now, I need legal minds to ask me or to clarify to this. Since Eddie Kalungu came back into politics, when he dies, what does the Constitution say? If a president that comes back to politics and then he dies, what happens to his benefits? And what happens to what will happen if a president, did not resign or did not come back into politics? I just want a clarity on there. But in the case right now, what we're talking about is by ECL, because he's the one that has died. He's the one that came back into politics. He's the one that wrote to cabinet to say, I'm going back into politics. What is entitled to benefits? What happens
Right.
to his benefits? Because most people would start blaming the government to say, in case the Constitution or the laws say if somebody who's in active politics, they don't deserve benefits, or they're not going to get anything, or his children are not going to get any entitlement, then this government is going to be blamed. But it's the Constitution. It says it. Right? So let's see, go in there and read. I would advise everybody, just go in there and read and say, and define ourselves and just understand these issues, because this is going to be next. I'm telling you, next week, these are going to be the issues that now they're denying us entitlement of the former president. Thank you. I submit.
Wonderful submissions. Shall we now go to Mr. Oscar Mwanza? What is Mr. Lungu's legacy? I know most of you have talked about it. You couldn't help yourself, but let's add some more meat to what we talked about earlier. What is Mr. Lungu's legacy going
So,
forward?
Mr. Lungu's the legacy is complex.
Mm-hmm.
First is the former president to die outside the country without benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having an echo with myself.
Well, maybe I think you may have two things open. So
Yeah.
okay, I know. I think I'll kick one of it out. So hold on.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, let me kick this out.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Is that
So
better?
yes. So I'm saying is the first president, former president, to die outside the country without benefits. And then the whole issue of benefits. At some point, I think the current government has to use their discretion really to say the law says this, but out of Ubuntu, let's just do A, B, C, D.
Right.
Yeah. So then, in terms of legacy, I don't know how much time do we have, but is divisive leadership. Economic challenges. Yes, there's infrastructure which we hear every day, but which came at a very big cost to the country.
Right.
That's why we incurred a lot of debt. Tribalism. It's and these guys invested in tribalism. I was getting a firearm permit I don't know how many times I was asked, Mwanza, Nyakwatu, or Southern. Yeah, yeah. You know, it was not. They have invested. They invested heavily in this thing. You know, then power over unit. Like he didn't care. Lungu's Zambia was just 2 regions, basically. You
Right.
know, so and like I said, to me, his legacy is very complex. But may his soul rest in peace. And this is my last public comment. May his soul rest in peace. I'll never a Lungu person, but I still feel sorry for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Great submissions there. Shall we go to my good lovely husband, Dr. Liswaniso? Your what is Mr. Lungu's legacy? I mean, somebody would say it
Okay.
was complex.
Yeah, I think it was multifaceted. There are so many angles at which everyone will remember Lungu, especially things that personally touched certain families. You can imagine the family of that Yunza student, the family of that lawyer that was shot, the family of those students that were killed in gassing. You know, so we're gonna remember him from different angles, but all in all, there are things that every Zambian will remember. For example, there was an increase in the division of the country in terms of tribal tensions. Tribal tensions were growing. It was now like there were people like Kamwili that were just talking about tribal talks every day. Okay, and the GBM and all that. It's like they were sponsored just to talk to divide people. So tribal divisions legacy was, I mean, we'll remember him for having promoted that. Cadarism, of course, and violence, where it was so advanced that it went to the extent of ordering military uniforms for cadres, and having now the military type of setting where there were commanders for Chawama, a commander for Munali, and all that. It was really becoming serious. So cadarism and violence, and what I would say street organized cadarism was going to be, I will remember that because, yeah, there were uniforms being ordered for those people. And the fear that Zambians had, I remember very well my sister would had some no-go areas. She didn't, when she's going to the market in Soweto, she lives in Kawata. When she's going to the market in Soweto market, you know, my sister loves to buy things in bulky, whatever. So she was avoiding passing through the the intercity bus terminal. She was avoiding that. She said one time she was coming through there, they got her phone because she was wearing the red chitenge material, the phone, and the phone that I just sent her, actually. They got it. Oh, mommy, your phone stimulinga, 50%. Just like that. You know, so people were living in fear. And at Soweto market, they were telling her where to buy things from. You can't buy from this one, you have to buy from this woman. So she had no choice but to be directed by the cadres at Soweto market. So it was really, really bad. Bus operators were not free. Marketeers were not free. Everybody was just living in fear. That's a legacy that many people are going to remember. For academicians that understand economic graphs and economics, and the economy was on its knees. We were just going downhill. We were the first country to fail to pay our debt after in the times of COVID and all that type of thing. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And the thing that was really gonna really put our economy to a standstill was the manner in which they were borrowing. They were going to borrow from individuals, you know, under the table. There was no that official signing of this, Minister of Finance signing this, nothing. Under PF, Nobody knew when those loans were taken. Nobody. It was just, oh, we've gotten this amount from somewhere in China and all that. There was no official signing ceremonies. It was bad. And then they say there was all this road network that was built, hospitals that were built, but then you look at the cost. At what cost did we pay for those so-called infrastructure? It was really, really bad, because I know for a fact that they were overpriced, and the people that were supplying, for example, I know somebody who was supplying gravel, like he was buying gravel from Kafue area, along Kafue Road, and supplying it in Lusaka. Okay. So here's a contract, someone just transporting this gravel for about maybe 40 kilometers, is it? Just less than one, and then you make millions and millions of kwacha for that. So yeah, they were giving themselves these contracts, and the musicians, the Malembes were all rich, supplying uniforms to the military. So it was all too much. Economic recklessness, I would call it, was really bad. Finally, just to talk about the benefit, what Chanda 1, today there's no Chanda 2. What Chanda 1 has said about the benefits, yeah, it's going to be, I think to me, it's not going to be very, what can I say, contentious or very a problem in the sense that the main person involved in these benefits is normal. That makes it, I'm not saying that that's the best scenario, but that's what makes it easier, because he will not be there to argue for himself anyway. But the benefits that the family would want to claim, I think they can easily be accorded to them on compassionate grounds. I don't think the benefits will not be the same as the benefits he would have gotten himself if he was alive. So it's going to be a little bit cheaper for the government just to say, you know what, we'll give you a lump sum, we'll build you that house, Madam Esther Lungu, and it ends there. I think it's not going to be a lifelong type of thing like Lungu would have gotten if he was still alive. So in terms of benefits, I think the government can easily disperse money especially for the wife. They might build a house and then give her a lump sum, and that will be the end of the story. So I think it will all go well. I don't think it's going to be a very difficult thing to accommodate by the government. I yield.
Great. And let's now go to
the legacy.
Yeah, Mr. Mami, what's Mr. Lungu's legacy?
You see, Lungu was a very tribal president. This I'll tell you again. He made us think as Tongas that it was not possible for Tongas to produce a president. How do you just single out a tribe and even say, yeah, one day Zambia will have a president, but a Tonga president, but not this one. But not this one. That was very unpresidential for him, because Zambia is for all the 73 tribes, but we even single out a tribe and an individual. That was very unpresidential for him. Secondly, it's in his term that I saw a list of permanent secretaries that were all from Northern Province and Luapula and Eastern. Nothing from the other provinces. That list of permanent secretaries made me think that maybe only those people from those areas had the know-how or the ability of being permanent secretaries. Maybe it's because they were expertise or they were more educated. But the bottom line is that list was very, very, very tribal. If it's not Northern, it was Luapula or Eastern. We should never get back to those days again. Zambia, we are going forward. Without legacy where someone thinks with the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
No. That one should be long gone. The legacy left, at least now it's gone, and where events were just Lusaka. Lusaka throughout. Everything Lusaka, everything Lusaka. But the one who's there now would want to hold, Labor Day this time, we're going to hold it in Mongo, in Western Province. Youth Day, no, I think in Muchinga Province. Women's Day, we're going to hold it in Eastern Province. That kind of thing, better for Zambia. That legacy where everything was Lusaka, 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 no. I yield.
Right. The deep thinker, the man, the soul of the of the podcast. What is Mr. Lungu's legacy?
All right. I've listened very carefully. Some good things that people mentioned about Lungu and some bad things. The unfortunate thing, it looks like the bad things outweigh the good things. Uh, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but I'm going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
For us to say Jesus is relevant is because of the work of the devil.
Deep thinker, no.
No,
No, let that
You are
simmer.
thinking too
No,
deep.
let
no,
that simmer
I
in
don't.
again. Say
I
it
don't.
again. Say that statement again.
Say that again.
For us to say Jesus is relevant
Eh?
is because of the work of the devil.
For us to think that Jesus is relevant, it's
If
because
it
of
Oh
wasn't for
my
the devil, we
God.
wouldn't be worshiping Jesus the way we worship him. Lord
Mhm.
Jesus, what has happened here? Please, Lord Jesus, because
Ati. I want to write this down.
Ah,
so now
To
I don't
think
want anybody to take it to the wrong way that somebody's going to run around and say I called
to think
ECL a
what?
devil. No, that's not. I'm just using that as as my
To think
entry point to what I'm going to say.
yeah. Well, let
to
him
think what?
finish. If we let him finish, Mr. Maja, we'll come back to it.
So,
Go ahead.
so the entry point here is that the legacy of Lungu, Dr. Lungu, whether you look at it as bad or good, it informs where the country is going and
Mm-hmm,
what we don't want to go back to.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mandela stood up and said, never and never, never again shall the people of this country be subjected to systems like the apartheid system. Now imagine if there was no apartheid. What kind of history would have informed Mandela?
Mm.
So angry as people may be with Lungu because of the bad things, they have informed the new dawn leadership, knowing that if we do this, it brings pain to people. So we are not doing that. So the compromise between sin and faith is based on bouncing back and forth, but you don't experience faith unless you have experienced some bad things going to you. That's when the faith really either makes that's when faith is strengthened or even killed altogether.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now I'm coming. Let me capture this point again. It's either faith moving forward with the current government and the way they're doing some things, or lose faith and have one of these people that have pushed Lungu come back to power. It's a choice. I'm not campaigning, I'm just giving information. It's a choice. We can either look at this government and say they're doing very well or they're not doing very well. We vote them back or we don't vote them back. And then we turn around and say, okay, some things are not going right with this government. Of course, every government is going to make mistakes. So some things might not be going on well with this government. Now let's vote Lubinda in as president. Let's vote Nagachinda in as president. This is a choice. But this choice is burdened on Nilungu, and yet these are the people that are the foot soldiers of Lungu that are in the community talking to people. All right. Now, the reason we're not doing business as usual is because of what the PF government informed the New Dawn government. That was one of the points I was making. Now, one of the things I heard about Lungu is that he was actually a people's person, where the people that he interacted with, they really loved him all the way. They had that. So we can't neglect that, because when we talk about one Zambia, one nation, one people, we have to recognize those people that are opposed the policies that we have in place, or the policies that we're pushing. We have to recognize that there is a considerable number of people that did not vote for the UPND government. So we need to recognize that there are some people that saw some good in Lungu, and we need to find out what is it that they saw good in Lungu. Now, finally, I'm going to revisit the question that Chanda asked about the benefits. One, if the government is going to push to run the funeral of Dr. Lungu as a former president, that means you have recognized him as a former president. And if you make it clear that you recognize that he's a former president, I don't see why you don't give him benefits. I don't. It would be an oxymoron to say, well, yeah, here lies the former president, but we're not giving him the benefits. Like, again, Tayali, I listened to him for entertainment. Tayali said when Ilungu died, he ceased being a politician, a president of opposition party. He says he cannot come back and campaign or say something bad about anybody. So you can either resign or die, and then you cease being in politics. At the end of the day, you cease. So if you cease and recognize him as a former president, give him the benefits.
Posthumously?
Yes, because he's not going to come back and say, the European government is messing up my country. He's not going to come back. It's done. Rest in peace.
All right. All right. Oh my goodness, the deep thinker has taken us to church. Madam Joyce Chibwe, what is Mr. Lungu's legacy? Or did you speak to it on? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, my sister. I'll start with the deep thinkers dipping thinking, or think deeping deeper. Yeah, I can see why he's got that, name or nickname. I'll start with the law. The law is very ambiguous. That's why we have lawyers that go to school. And even when you think that this is how it works, a lawyer will read out something. It's like a Bible. The Bible never wrote everything that we needed to know. We have questions over the Bible saying, well, they didn't even tell us who this one was. It was irrelevant. In this case, I'll give an example of a former minister who dies, just like Nawakwi. He was given a state funeral as a former minister, but he was not given the benefits. Okay? Dr. Lungu was a former president who came back into the political arena, and now they want to accord him a state funeral. He cannot be given benefits because it doesn't say that when you are given a state funeral, you are given benefits. I personally have experienced that in our family. someone who was former dies because he served in the government, he was given a state funeral, but we were never given benefits. So I think that's for the government, to look into that. Secondly, the legacy for Dr. Lungu. I have only 3-4 words to describe his legacy. If I had to write his resume, one, he was the first president we had that was visionless. He said it himself. Secondly, he's a president who was reckless in life. How even President Obama came in smoking, but he had to stop because it was a government, instrument, and we needed him to be healthy. President Lungu continued drinking for those that were close to him, and to the extent that they even gave him a nickname of Jameson. I don't drink alcohol myself. I don't know how it tastes, but I've seen that bottle before. Third, he's a president who's going to be remembered that he was, I don't want to say the word that I want to use, but he was just wasteful. Everything else has already been outlined with others where the roads, were exaggerated, the pricing, the airports. We have new airports everywhere with air condition, which is good, but you don't bring some infrastructures that won't bring in money. You don't build an empty airport which has no plans to land and bring in business. You don't do that. It's like building a house somewhere where there are no people that are going to come there to live in it. So he was just a person who didn't care how much it cost to bring something, as long as someone else told him to do that. So really, that's all I can remember about him. That's what I can write if I had to write a book on him. He was a party person. He likes life. That's why people say, he could interact with anyone. When you're a leader, there are certain limitations. We are not saying you can't mix with people. Yes, you can, but be productive. He's a president that never encouraged empowerment. Instead, he introduced handouts, which, everyone likes anything free, but it has consequences. And when you are paying back, it hurts. And, Zambia will be in debt in the next 3 generations to come. I submit.
Wonderful, wonderful. Who hasn't spoken? Because we need to wind down now. I think I've touched on everybody. So there won't be any rant this week, colleagues, simply because we need to respect. This was purely a dedication to Dr. Lungu's demise and, of course, his legacy. So we resume normal programming next week, same time, same place, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 2000 hours Zambian time, and 12 o'clock Central Eastern Time. It's been Bantu TV. I mean, you guys, if you want, I'm going to end the live stream. So if you guys want to stay along and talk, you can. But Mr. Mwanza and Mr. Lovemore, please shoot me your numbers on here on the comment section. I want to add you on to our Bantu TV WhatsApp group where we update topics and links for you to join whenever you want. How about that? Until next week, viewers, it's been wonderful, and rest in peace, Dr. Chagwarungu. And you'll be remembered. For me, is Uwomba Mwibara, Alia Mwibara, and when he was asked about somebody, he says, "No, I don't drink with that one. So I don't. We can't have a conversation because I don't drink with that one." So those are my famous, quotes that I can get from Dr. Lungu. Until next week, viewers.
Adios.
Keep the faith.
Keep the
Goodbye.
faith.
Munyama.